Hi there, my name is Brad and this is Bo Woodcraft. Today we're going to build this really cool little keepsake box. This one's made out of oak and mahogany. The one we're going to build today, we're going to use maple and some black walnut. Stick around. Alright, so I'm going to go over to my big stack of wood over here, and I'm going to find a couple chunks of maple. And these just happen to be a couple of pieces of flooring cut-offs that I have. And so I'm going to take that right straight over to the table saw. And we're going to run that through and get rid of that tongue and groove. Once we got that cleaned up, I'm going to go over and set up my DeWalt planer and make sure I kick on the dust collector. Now, see that flutes in the bottom of that? We need to get rid of those. So let's start planing. Get it down to about a ½ inch, but I can still see some fluting in there, so we're going to take it back to the planer. Alright, let's get over to the miter saw. Little Shop Nation plug there for the dust collector system that we got on this thing. Works great. I'm going to go ahead and cut off that end. So first thing I'm going to do is mark one at 4 inches. I'm going to make sure that's nice and square. Make sure I cut on the right side of the line. I left a little bit of the line, but that's okay because we're going to take that with the sander. So now I'm just going to mark this second piece at 4 inches. You're going to need 2 of those. Alright. Once we're done with those cuts, now I've got 2 pieces that are 4 inches, and I did cut 2 pieces that are 8 inches. Now I'm going to take my sled out. We're going to work on the joints that make this thing work. So what you want to do is cut down into your wood about halfway through on both sides, and you're going to flip it end to end because you want these joints on opposite sides of each other. Once you get that cut made, then you want to go ahead and take out the rest, and that's just going to leave you with a cute little block. Now you can give that to your kids to eat, or maybe your dog to chew on. I like to just throw mine away. You can see I've already cut those first 2 cuts and everything else, so we're going to go ahead and get these blocks taken care of. Alright, once you get all the pieces cut, the next thing you got to do is go ahead and get this glued up. You're going to put glue on the faces, they're going to intersect with each other. As you can see, I took about 800 clamps and got this thing all tied together. Alright, so I went ahead and glued this up off camera because I didn't think you needed to hear that amount of swearing. It was kind of a pain in the butt, and I don't know why, but anyway. So there's the little box, 4x8, 2 inches deep, cool little joints, and yeah. Hey, before I continue with this video, could you do me a real quick favor? Go down there and hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, maybe drop a comment in the box. Every little bit of that really is appreciated. So thank you. Hey, let's get back to the build. Alright, so I've got my, once again, Harbor Freight sander. I'm not going to lie, I love that tool. This thing works really well. It does bog down a little bit if you put too much pressure on it, but for the most part, for everything that I need, this thing is a great little tool. I think I spent maybe 50 bucks on it. So we're going to go over here and we're going to go ahead and scribe in where the bottom's going to fit. And once I've got that fitting pretty good, I'm just going to go ahead and glue this up. Of course, I'm using Type Bond 3 because that's pretty much what I use for everything. Now this should just fit snug right in there. A couple of taps with the mallet and we should be good to go. Flip it over and make sure that bottom is seated really well. And we're just going to set that to the side and let it dry. And once that's dried up, you guessed it, back to the sander. We're going to go ahead and get that bottom flattened out. And, I think I'm using 120 grit on this bad boy. Well, now we're going to head over to the drill press and we're going to drill the 1/4 inch holes. And this is going to be for those hidden little hinges that go in this thing. I really like these little hinges. They are kind of finicky to get to fit correctly, so you really gotta be careful with your measurements and how deep you drill those holes. But once you get them in there, they seem to work really, really well. And I'm just going to go ahead and scribe the points where my drill needs to go for the lid. And if you notice, I didn't really shape that lid up yet. I'm going to go ahead and shape that lid to fit the rest of the box. You guessed it, on the sander. First, let's get these holes in here. There's those little hinges. Now they're really cool. They just kind of hide right down in these little holes. And if you're not building too big of a thing, these work really good. Now I'm going to line up the top. And then that should just snap right in there. Like that. There you go. You notice I put a little bit of a bevel on the back side of that lid. That's just to make sure that when you open it up, it doesn't pinch your fingers. How do I know? Well, I pinched my finger. Little trick. See those magnets stuck to the side of that screwdriver? It helps a lot when you're picking up those tiny screws. They just snap right over to the screwdriver. So there's that bevel. You can see that a little bit better in that shot. Now that we're screwed on, we'll take it back over to the sander. And I'm just going to flush all of that up with the sander. That way it looks nice and custom. Alright, we'll get the lid screwed on nice and good there. And check the fit. Uh-oh, doesn't quite fit right. What are we going to do? Let's see. Sometimes you got to improvise, right? I'm going to take a screwdriver. I'm going to go between those two. Just kind of pry that up just a little bit. Nope, still not working right. Huh. How about whack it with a hammer? That did it. When all else fails, whack it with a hammer. Alright, I've got some 220 on this sander. I'm just going to get it nice and smooth. Then all polished up on the inside of the lid and all four sides. And of course, my go-to finish, little spray shellac. If you don't have these painter points, man, pick you up some painter points. These things are great. When you're working on that finish, you don't really have to wait for it to dry because they just barely touch the surface and it just makes it so much faster. If you'd like to build this little box, I'm going to go ahead and leave plans for it down in the links below. And please remember, subscribe, like, drop me a comment. Every little bit of that helps. And again, my name's Brad. This is Bo Woodcraft. Thanks for sticking around and have a great time in your shop.